Hi, everybody. I'm Joe James, financial educator, Tinker Federal Credit Union. Thank you for joining us once again for our next video in our series. So, today we're talking about making the most of your money. I think the best way to kind of go about this is think about how, like a car enthusiast will spend hours under the hood of their car, working on the engine. They will change parts, they will tighten, they will loosen, they will listen, they will grease, and they will do all kinds of things to just finely tune that engine. And it's really to get the most out of the car, to make it as fast as possible, to make it operate as efficiently as possible. Or think about, a professional athlete. They will spend hours in the gym, fine tuning their routines, their workout routines, their diet, um, their training, watching video. They'll do everything to just really get the most out of their physical abilities, right? And it really does come down to they want to operate at maximum efficiency and capacity. And why would we not do the same with our money, right? Think about how many times the lack of money or the waste of it has caused issues in people's lives, right? And so with that said, why would we not want to try to fine tune our financial um our financial approach, right, to life, so that we can operate as efficiently and really at maximum capacity, to get the most out of it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So how do we do that? We start by building a better budget. For some people, they don't like that word. It has a negative connotation, meaning it really just causes maybe anxiety or stress because they don't like being told what to do. Well, you can't tell me what to do. This is America. I'm an adult. I can do what I want. That's true. But for a lot of people, they don't like that word because it really makes them feel restricted, and they can't do what they want. The truth is, the budget is really a guideline. It's a guide. It's a plan, for how to get where you want to go. Right. I remember growing up, we would take road trips, and this was before smartphones. This was back when just cell phones had roaming, if you can remember back that far. But I remember my mom would always order these road maps from AAA called triptychs, and every time we would get to from one side of the map to the other, it would have a highlighted route on there, and we would flip the page, and then it would show us the route to take, and it would just get closer and closer. The closer we got to our destination, it would show us, this is you need to turn on this road, and you need to do, and it would have the highlighter. It's kind of like a printed Google Maps, I mean, 30, 40 pages of flip chart. Anyway, could you imagine if we did that and we took the mindset, well, you can't tell me what to do. It's a map. Like, we want to know how to get where we want to go. Why would we not follow it? Right? Why would we want to go somewhere, go through the effort of saying, how do I get there? And someone says, this is how you get there. And then we say, well, you can't tell me what to do. Right? Or if, what if go back to the fitness enthusiasts, you know, they look at their diet as the foundation to reach their goals. It gives them the energy, it gives them the fuel that they need in the gym, right, to really perform well. They can't out exercise a bad diet, right? And so they look at the diet as the foundation, right? Because a lot of people feel the same way about diet as they do the word budget. But the fitness enthusiast looks at the word diet as like the foundation for on which they build everything else. Why would we not do that financially? Why would we not look at the budget as the foundation for how we're going to achieve our goals, right? It's the budget really is the foundation for how we can plan and structure everything so that we can truly be efficient, maximize that efficiency, maximize the capacity of what we're capable of financially, and really get where we want to go financially. So why do we do it? Well, number one, again, I mentioned this, we achieve our goals, right? We should have goals, right? Number one, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but we should have goals, and and we need to know how to achieve them, and how much money do we need to set aside for each goal. The budget shows us how to do that. The budget is the plan for doing that. And if we really want to work towards achieving those goals as quickly and efficiently as possible, then we have to put money aside. We have to do that. And so the budget is the way we do that. The budget actually allows us to make decisions make financial decisions ahead of time. And what I mean by that is this: if we can learn to separate our emotions from our money, which for some people that's hard and understandable. We address that in our psychology of money presentation. But if we can learn to do that, and as we set up our budget, we say, this is what we have to spend on this item or in this category. When it comes time to spend money, if we have already spent the amount we have allowed for that category or for that item, and the opportunity presents itself to spend more, then we already know, no, I can't do that. I'm already over budget, or I'm already met my budget. There's no emotion. It's cut and dry, right? So that's why the budget helps us stay on track. It helps us stay on course, helps us achieve our goals, helps us be efficient. It makes the decision for us ahead of time, right? And all of those things, right, allow us to become financially secure. When I was a public school teacher, I had a pretty structured class, and I did not allow for a lot of students to, go outside of the structures and the expectations of my classroom. And a lot of times, kids that did not have a lot of structure, especially like at home, um, they liked having that. You would think that going into a structured environment when you're used to not having any, you would rebel. And they did. They tested my boundaries, and they pushed and see how far they could push the limit. But the truth of the matter is, deep down, they really appreciated that structure because it made them feel safe. And the thing about it is, when people spend haphazardly, when they are not disciplined and structured in their finances, they feel out of control and they feel vulnerable, right? But if they when you get that out of that emotion out of it, and they really learn to be disciplined and structured and make good financial decisions, they feel more financially secure. They feel better. And for a lot of times, that's what really makes people, it gives them the motivation, and it gives them what they need to achieve their goals, is they feel like they are doing the right things, right? And so, one rule when we create our budget and as we go through life with our finances, expenses have to be less than income. It does not matter if you earn $250 a week working part time, minimum wage, whatever, or if you earn $250,000 a year. It does not matter. If you spend a dollar more than you earn, you are going to be broke. $1. If you spend more than you earn, you're going to be broke. Always. That's the number one rule of personal finance. So why do people have obstacles to get started? Why is it hard? Well, number one, it's easy to put things off. We live in a society that just, I'll do it tomorrow, is really easy to do, right? I really had good intentions of going to a support group for people who procrastinated, but they kept saying, well, we're going to meet tomorrow. So I never went, right? It's a joke. So, but it's easy to procrastinate. It's easy to put things off, right? We just think, we convince ourselves that other things are more pressing, right? Other things are more important. So we put it off. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But at some point, we've got to just face the music and sit down and do it, right? Maybe we feel like there's never enough money. Again, there's that word. We feel like there's never enough money. The truth is, if we sit down, we construct a budget, we start tracking our spending, we might see that we're overspending in a certain area, or maybe we're spending too much, in a certain area, like we're going out to eat too much, or we're going to on cue too much, or we're going to do different things. And at the end of the day, we see, oh, I didn't realize I was spending that much money, right? I know somebody that would go to Sonic and get a Route 44 Dr. Pepper every single day. And they would talk about, well, I don't have money for X, Y, and Z. And it's like, yeah, but you go spend $1.50 on Sonic Dr. Pepper every single day. So you sure do have, $30 you could be putting towards that. Now, I didn't say that to them, but that was the truth of the matter, right? And so you might feel like there's never enough money, but if you'll sit down and do these things, you'll probably find that there is. You just have to reallocate it. It's hard to confront past decisions. We feel bad about the things we've done because maybe we're embarrassed, maybe we're ashamed. But you know what? And that's true. I've been there, but that's no reason to not make good decisions going forward, right? Goals can feel overwhelming. They can seem overwhelming. Maybe they are overwhelming. But the truth of the matter is we really often are a lot closer to achieving our goals and they're not as overwhelming as we thought. Once we start working towards them, it's a lot easier than we realize once we start the momentum. The starting momentum is the hardest thing. Keeping it going is a lot easier. So we don't get started because we feel overwhelmed by the size of our goals and how far we have to go. But a lot of times we're a lot closer than we think. And we also fear lifestyle changes. I know that that is a very real thing. But the truth of the matter, I say that a lot. The reality is, you might make changes in the short run while you rearrange some things financially. Maybe you're paying off debts. Maybe you're accommodating your goals. You're building your goals into your budget a little better, and so you have to change some of your lifestyle. But the truth is, that doesn't have to be forever, right? That that doesn't have to be forever. You can go back to traveling once you're out of debt. You can go back to eating out more often once you're out of debt. You can go back to doing certain things if you want to. I mean, let's be honest, sometimes we find that the new lifestyle, the disciplined lifestyle, is more appealing and we like it better, right? So we fear them, but you know what? The best thing to do is just stand up and face it and embrace it and just see what happens. So, like I said, we got to set goals. Goals are important. Goals help us get out of bed. If we don't have anything we're working towards, it's easy to just lay in bed because it's warm and we don't feel like getting up. But we have to have goals. And there are 5 characteristics of a good goal. A good goal is what we call a SMART goal. It's specific, right? I want to be rich is not a good goal because what is rich, right? Well, you ask most of the world and you already are rich, right? I want to have $1 million by the time I'm 65. That's a specific goal. It has a dollar amount, specific. It's measurable. I know how old I am now, and I know how long it'll be until I'm 65, and how much money I have now, and how much I need at 65, and how much I will need along the way. I can measure my progress, so that's a good goal. It is attainable. I've got a little over, or almost 30 years that I could work towards this goal. That's attainable, right? If I make the right changes in my lifestyle, that's an attainable goal for me. It is realistic, right? It's something, again, I have 30 years. I already have some momentum. I can measure it. It's a realistic goal. And it's time bound. I set an end date. I know when I'm going to be 65 years old, right? It's time bound. That the time bound element adds a degree of pressure. That's not a bad thing to have pressure. A lot of people perform better under pressure. But what it does is it makes you realize I've got to work towards this goal because it has a deadline. And I want to get there and feel accomplished, knowing I accomplished my goal, rather than get there and be like, oh, whoops, right? Time's going to pass anyway. Why not accomplish some goals along the way? Here's an example of a chart. You can see on the far left, that would be the categories of your goals, short-term, mid-term, long-term, in the time frame associated with each. The next column is your actual goal where you would list it. You'd have your target date, so like when you want to achieve it, how much you need, how much you currently have saved, so what additional savings do you need, right? And then how many pay periods do you have, so how much do you save per pay period or per month? And that's how easy it is. It's really that. And you can start, and then you could even put over in the you could create a new column if you wanted to create your own in like Excel or something. You could create a new column for how many more months until I achieve my goal, or something like that, so that you can see the progress towards your goal, or percentage, right? Percentage of goal achieved. You can do something like that to see that you see the momentum, to see the accumulation, and see that you are achieving your goal. This is an example of a couple goals. Maybe a short-term goal is within the next year, you want to have a small emergency savings account, right? And we'll get into what that needs to look like. But within the next year, you'll have $1,800 by saving $150 a month or $75 a check. You might think, well, that's a lot of money and that'd be cool, but I don't have $150 a month. I bet you do somewhere, right? You may be giving your emergency fund to, McDonald's or OnQ or whatever, but in reality, you probably have it somewhere. Same thing with a midterm. I want to be out of debt in 3 years. And I said earlier, a lot of times we're closer to our goals than we realize, right? So you realize after totaling up all your debt payments, how much you owe on all your different debts, that your total monthly, debt bills are $175. Well, and you realize, oh man, if I pay $200 a month for the next 3 years, I'll be out of debt. You only need $25 more a month to be out of debt in 3 years. I bet you can find that $25, right? And the last one is long-term fund retirement. You have 30 years to get $1,000,000. You'd need $350 a month. That's $175 a check. And if you work at a place that does dollar for dollar 401k matching, you really only need to do what, $87, $88 a check. They'll do the other half, right? The market will do the rest. Well, Lord willing. But anyway, yeah, it's that easy. It's that easy. And you say, well, Joe, that's $700. That's hard. Well, and we'll talk about some things later on that you may be able to think about in doing. But you know what? If you really want to achieve these goals, you may be able to find those things. So emergency accounts, why do we need that? We're talking about making the most of our money. How is having an emergency fund in a liquid account that I don't touch, how is that efficient? I will tell you. If you have an emergency and you don't have liquid savings, you'll probably resort to borrowing to meet that need. I've done that. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem is you also have to start paying interest. And a lot of times the interest rates are a lot higher than what we want to pay and what we're paying interest that we could be earning. So it's inefficient, right? So if we want to maximize our money, we have emergency savings for the purpose of meeting needs in an emergency, right? 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses. It's a good amount. Now, that's not to say that some disaster is going to happen. You're not going to have income for 3 to 6 months. It's just that's the number we shoot for, right? A liquid account, meaning you can go to the credit union, go to the branch, get it out that day. And you also want to create this fund while working toward other goals. Having this emergency account needs to be one of your goals, okay? Because you want to make sure that you have it. I just had a $230 car engine emergency the other day that I had to repair. I met that need because we have an emergency fund. If I didn't, what would I do? Put that on a credit card and then I'm paying 24% interest on it? No thanks. Emergency funds are the way to go. So you want to save for your goals while repaying your debt. You should save for an emergency fund even if you have debt because again, you're paying your debts while saving for emergency funds so that you don't have to borrow more in case you have an emergency. That's pretty much what it is. You don't want to add to your debt, right? So what if you have an emergency and you have to borrow that money? You have to take that money and use it. Fine, that's what it's for. You're not adding to your debt. That's the point. You have to save for retirement. Saving for retirement often reduces taxable income in the right type of retirement account. So that may take you from a 22% tax bracket to a 12% tax bracket. That's pretty substantial, right? And many employers match contributions. Some don't, but many do. Look and see if yours do, because that's a great way to start generating retirement savings. If you put in $20, so will they. You may want to delay savings for less vital goals, and that's understandable. Maybe you have really high interest charged on your unsecured debt, your credit cards, or your signature loans. Pay those off quickly, right? So that you can start earning interest instead of paying it. So this is a big one. A lot of people don't like this. I want to save, but I can't do it right now because I've got debt, right? Or I've got all these. I'll save saving will be the last line of my budget. That's a bad idea because we just by nature we want to pay all our bills and whatever's left we'll save it. And I understand that, but here's the thing: we often will pay all our bills and have this good feeling because now we have we've accomplished something. So we now have we have that hormone. I can't remember which one off the top of my head that we now have accomplished a goal, and so I think it's dopamine. We now have the dopamine fix. We've accomplished a goal and we feel good, so we're going to go treat ourselves. There goes our savings. Savings has to be important enough to be one of the top lines of our budget, right? So if all else fails, automate it. If you can't have the discipline to manually make that deposit, then a lot of companies do this, some don't, so just look into it, but they will let you put your direct deposit in multiple places. So send a portion of your direct deposit, your paycheck, to your savings account and the rest of it to your checking to pay your bills. If they don't let you do that, then when it all goes to your checking account, set up an automatic transfer a little bit into your savings. Don't wait until your bills are paid, because then you'll spend it because you'll feel good about yourself and then you'll just go waste it on whatever. You have to see yourself as an essential expense, right? And the reason we save, the reason we work is because we need money right now, right? We also need money down the road. We need money later in life. Well, what if we can't work, right? Retirement is planned unemployment, okay? I want to plan to not work. So, but I need income. So what am I going to do? Well, I better work enough that I can save some money now. Okay, you are essential. Your future is essential. Start saving. Here's an example of the credit card. The reason why we want to pay off our credit cards and unsecured loans as quickly as possible is because look at that rate. That's super high, right? Even a $2,000 balance, which isn't that much, right? At that high of a rate and a minimum payment of 2.5% of the balance, or $20, if we only make the minimum payments, right? Because we think in minimums. I want to do the minimum, right? Financially, I want to do the minimum. Okay. Making only minimum payments, it will take 14.5 years. And the reason why that is, because you might think that's a long time. Well, every time you make a payment, your balance goes down. And the payment is always, the amount of the payment is always based on the balance. As the balance goes down, so does the minimum payment. That's why it takes longer to pay it off. And you'll pay more interest than you do in the actual balance. You paid more in interest than what you actually owed, right? Let's say you bought a $2,000 computer from Best Buy. You paid Visa more interest than you did computer from Best Buy, right? You paid Visa more money to borrow money to buy the computer than you actually spent on the computer. That's crazy. So that's why we want to get out of debt as quickly as possible, especially credit card debt. Credit cards aren't the devil, right? A lot of people use them intentionally, beneficially, but so credit cards aren't the devil. Credit card debt is. So that's something to keep in mind. This is a big one. I say this almost as much as I talk about budgeting. Track where your money goes. Track where it goes. You can have the greatest budget in the world. You can have a budget that impresses every CFO, every financial guru, every finance coach out there. But if you don't track where your money goes to make sure you're sticking to it, then it does not matter, right? You could have a diet plan that impresses every fitness guru out there. But if you're not tracking your diet to see that you're sticking to it, or your workout plan or whatever, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter that you have a great plan. You're not even sticking to it, right? So my point is, track where your money goes. Write it down. Get a notes on your phone. Get a notepad on your phone, and every time you make a purchase, pay a bill, whatever, buy gas for your car, write it down. Every time you go through the drive-through at OnQ, write it down. Keep your receipts if you want. That might seem tedious and a lot to keep up with, so that's fine. But some people are that way. They want to do that. Write it down. Use a debit or credit card. Now, I will say, I just thought of this. If you're a receipt keeper and you go to like CVS or Walgreens, they'll give you 14 feet of receipt to buy, I don't know, some Tylenol. That's a lot. You might not want to do that, right? You could probably create new blinds for your entire house with one receipt from CVS. So that's a joke again. Anyway, keep receipts if you want. Otherwise, write it down. Using debit or credit card automatically tracks your payments or your transactions. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you use ATMs a lot to get cash, monitor where the cash goes. So that's where you'd write it down or keep receipts. And then use expense tracking software. Our money manager on Home Branch for TFCU, it's incredible. If you link all your accounts, it'll track every dollar that goes out, obviously with the exception of cash, because you have to track that yourself. But it'll also categorize your spending, and it'll often show you where you're spending a lot of your money. And that can be a very eye-opening thing And you'll realize I do have money for certain things. I'm just giving it to OnQ, or I'm giving it to Sonic, or I'm giving it to, wherever, right? Amazon is a big one. Okay. All right, so construct the budget. A lot of people ask, Joe, which one should I do? And the answer is yes. I'm an old school guy. Paper is I'm a paper pencil. That's me. My wife is a spreadsheet guru. She knows all the formulas. Whichever one is your thing, that's the one you should do. Whichever one you get excited about, whichever one makes the most sense, whichever one you'll stick with, that's the one you should do. If you try one and you don't like, you're like, this is too much. I'd rather do online. I'd rather do a spreadsheet. I'd rather then do that. The type of budget, the way you put it together is not sacred. Doing it is what's important. Now, as you're doing your budget, make sure with your income you are conservative with your non-guaranteed income, right? For a lot of people that work seasonally or they work like contracts, make sure in the times of feasting you're saving money for the times when there's famine, right? So when you have overtime and bonuses, right, don't count on those for don't overestimate what you're going to get from them, but also be conservative with what you're going to spend. Not only be conservative in what you think you're going to make, but be conservative with how you use it. Another thing is if you get a large tax refund, I know that a lot of people get excited about getting a big tax refund, but understand this, and you can do what you want. This is America. You can do what you want. When you get a large tax refund, you have given the government an interest-free loan throughout the year, and then they just give it back to you in the next year. That's what happened, right? You gave the government an interest-free loan. Now, some people, they don't want to owe. They would rather have that refund than owe, and that's fine. Some people, well, I won't save it, so I'd rather, and that's okay too. Whatever you decide, just be intentional in your decision. But understand that that's ultimately what it is. So if cash flow is a problem, right? Let's say you have a couple $100 that you want to put towards goals, kind of like we looked at our goals earlier. Joe, where am I going to get $700 a month? Right? Well, $700 a month is $8,400 a year. And let's say you have a few kids and you get back $9,000 a year. That's your $700 a month right there, right? That's where it is. That's where it's going. It's going to the government interest free. All right, expenses. 2 columns, current and proposed. So you're going to have your proposed expenses. This is your budget. This is your planned expenses. And then as you track them, you're going to put that in your current. That's where and then you're going to compare is what I spent, what I planned on. Do I need to make adjustments for next time? Right? And you're going to, all your current is going to be your fixed expenses and you're going to list all of it, right? And when it comes to expenses, you're going to subtract all your total expenses from your total income. And then if there are any deficiencies, meaning you're spending more than you're earning, you need to make changes. Sometimes that can come in the form of deciding if expenses are essential versus discretionary, right? If you've got $100 a month deficit and you've got, a boat that you take out 3 times a year and the payment's $125 a month, that might be the thing, right? That might be the thing you get rid of to meet your goals, right? To make your budget work. And also make sure you're adding your financial goals. So long, short, and midterm, all your goals go into your budget as an expense. You are an expense. So add your goals in there. So if you do have that deficit, you have a few things you can do. You can increase your income, work overtime, work part-time, get a better paying job. A lot of places are hiring, so you can probably renegotiate your current contract or go, or compensation, or go find another job where it pays more. Or you can sell things. Now it's a one-time fix, but at the end of the day, sometimes that one-time fix fixes the cash flow issue and it gives you some money, right? Like the boat thing. So that's something to think about. Decrease your spending so you don't have the time to go work, but maybe you can change the way you're spending money. That's another way to do it. It's a great way to do it. And then again, don't forget your goals. Your goals have to be part of your budget or you will never achieve them. They'll always go unmet. Watch out for your budget busters. This would be debt, positive debt versus negative debt. And I would say better word than positive is acceptable. right? It's acceptable to take a mortgage on your house because the mortgage, your house will grow in value. So once you pay it off, your house will be worth something. Car is acceptable because you got to get you to work, so it helps you generate income. A student loan can help you generate income, but you probably need to be mindful of what you're majoring in, right? If my daughter comes to me and says, "Daddy, I want to take a student loan because I want to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that," okay, great. Daddy, I want to take a student loan so I can be an underwater basket weaver. I don't know about that. Maybe we need to get hands-on experience, and then you can go a different route. So negative debt would be I'm gonna pay for this pizza with a credit card that I'm not gonna pay off at the end of the month. So now I'm paying interest on a pizza that probably wasn't even that good. No pizza's that good. And I've been to New York. I've had New York pizza out of a brick oven made with wood burning right next to it. I've had good pizza, but it ain't that good to pay interest every month, right? Don't charge more than you can pay off in full. If you can't pay it off, don't charge it. That's just a rule. Well, Joe, I have too much credit card. I can't. Okay, I get it, but moving forward, don't charge more than you can pay off in full. Seek lower interest rates. If you can before rates get too high, if you can refinance to get a lower rate for a longer period, do it. It'll lower your rates. You're paying less interest. It'll increase your cash flow. Win-win, right? Especially with credit cards. If you can get a lower rate on your card, do it. Watch out for spending. This is a big budget buster. This is one of those, again, we're usually unaware. We're not aware of the effect of, well, this is not a big deal. Getting that dollar candy bar is not a big, it's not a big deal. $1 is not a big deal. But when you get a candy bar and a soda and a chips every day or 3 days a week or whatever, and you don't track it and you don't account for it, and it just happens so frequently that it ends up being $50 a month. Joe, I can't save for that goal. Well, yeah, you're right, because you're giving your money to the convenience store. You're letting them achieve their goals. So you're right. So ask yourself, do I need it? Do I need it right now? What would happen if I don't have it? You have to ask yourself these questions from time to time. Okay? Well, Joe, I like having that soda and that candy bar. Okay, go to Sam's or somewhere like it, buy a big box of them for like $7, and you get like one for every day of the month for $7 versus one for $1 every day you go buy one, right? Or whatever they are. So you get the point. Stay motivated. This is a big deal. Making most of your money is a long-term process, just like getting healthy, just like getting your car to work as the maximum efficiency and capability out of it. All those things, it's a long-term process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. We didn't get this way overnight. We're not going to fix ourselves overnight, right? So you have to stay motivated. So you set your goals and you visualize what success looks like. Visualize it and visualize it every morning. Look at it, visualize it every morning. Stay organized. Sit down every morning with your coffee and your phone or your tablet and look at your bank account, see what cleared that night, and did I plan on this? And was it what I planned on? How much it was? Was that what I planned? If it wasn't, we got questions to ask, right? But be organized. Have a physical and digital space to be organized. Be realistic. Just be realistic. If you have goals that are not realistic, or if your spending is unrealistic, right? Like I have 4 people in my household, and now we have 2 dogs. I think the last time I did this workshop, I did not have 2 dogs. Now I have 2 dogs. One of them is German Shepherd, and she's growing like a weed. If I say we're going to spend $50 a month in groceries and $10 a month in dog food, that is not realistic, right? Then she'll look like a weed. She'll look ragged. Be realistic in all this stuff, okay? Monitor your progress. Make sure you're working towards the goal. Make sure you're getting there. Expect setbacks. No matter what we do in life to improve ourselves, the universe always tries to throw us off course. For every mile of road, there's 2 miles of ditch. And every time we try to get on the road and get going, the universe tries to put us in the ditch. And it's easy to do that one way or another. So just expect it, but get back on the road and keep going and reward yourself along the way. I was at one point in my life, I was losing weight, and I remember I lost a certain amount, and I said, I'm going to go get this big plate of nachos at this place. That was not in my meal plan. It was not healthy. I wouldn't have done that at any given time, but I had reached a certain milestone, and I wanted to reward myself. Do that. Why? Because it'll help you stay on plan. It'll help you continue to work toward it. Pay off your first credit card and then go on a little weekend trip to somewhere. Pay off your next credit card and then take a little cruise or something, a little 3-day cruise in the cruise. I don't know. But find ways to reward yourself so that you want to stay engaged. Stay motivated. Balance is a service we pay and provide to anyone. So if you need more help in setting up the budget, whether that be virtually online or you want to get help by calling the number and having somebody walk you through it anonymously, they will do that. Tell them I sent you. They'll give you the VIP treatment. They really like me over there. And oh, Joe sent you? Yeah, come on into this, red carpet room. Right? I'm just kidding. But check them out. Really great resource. Lots of great information. Or if you're a member with us and you want to sit down with somebody and let them help you one-on-one, our member solutions team will do that. They're great at it. That's what they're there for. And I've worked with them before on things. And the reason I've done that, I'll just tell you, is sometimes with our finances, we are subjective, meaning we make emotional, I feel like we make those kinds of decisions. They help you stay objective. They help you see the big picture and take those emotions out of it and make good choices. So call or email them, try to set up an appointment with them if you need it, and they will help you. All right. Hope this was worth your time. Hope it was meaningful and valuable to you. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.